Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back. Now, the end of my 2025 bingo card did not have the following story on it. It does look like there might be something to it, as a matter of fact. There definitely is a perceived shakeup at DC, and it doesn't look so good for James Gunn. So, is it true? James Gunn is out at DC? Well, according to Matt McGloin, Puck Media, and many others, yes, it's over. Here we go. Now, before we get started, just a super quick reminder, double check you're still subscribed to the channel. We're trying to get to 50K. We're trying to aim for 1,000 members if you're not a member of the channel. And with the launch of the new gardening channel, we are also going to have even more merchandise showing up and opportunities to pick that up. So do check out beachpunk.com on your website and get yourself some Christmas merch along with maybe some future gardening items. I think you can't miss if you just check out the website, find yourself a hat, some socks, even some shoes. We've got pretty much everything out there. Do check it out. But let's get to this from Matt McGloin himself over at Cosmic Book News. This article came out last night, so you're getting it fairly fresh. DC shakeup explodes. Okay, that's a big statement. Gunn is sidelined as Luca takes control. So, if you didn't know, you had Michael Luca and Pam Abdy over at Warner Bros. That are kind of running the studio at large. They didn't have any authority over DC, but that may have changed. This is an exclusive story, so let's get into it. Following the recent report from Puck News, I heard back from my insiders who suggest that James Gunn is already done at DC. Oh boy. The insiders point to how Puck reported that Paramount executives went above Gunn and visited weapons director Zack Cregger in Prague, where he's filming his new Resident Evil movie, to talk about his DC pitch. Now, let me ask that question. Why are they looking at this guy to make a DC pitch? Did they already have an idea of who they want to run forward with a whole lot of these other characters? And is it actually Cregger? Luca and Abdy, not Gunn, are the ones who brought in Cregger, which is interesting. As I said before, they're running the studio at large, Warner Bros. Film Studio. They don't really do anything or haven't done anything with DC. As insiders previously pointed out, Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy, the heads of Warner Brothers Films, are the ones who brought Zack Cregger into Warner Brothers. Weapons was huge, and it was. As was Minecraft, which DeLuca dated the sequel only 2 weeks after Gunn's Man of Tomorrow, meaning he didn't have a lot of faith in it. So both DeLuca and Abdy have their contracts renewed and a healthy amount of very positive feedback from the boss, so James Gunn's contract has not been renewed and expires next year, which means just how much longer is he sticking around? DeLuca's original DC plans, well, insiders have said, following Zack Snyder restoring the Snyderverse, DeLuca and Abdy would reboot DC, which I find that's kind of strange. I also find it kind of strange that they would consider restoring the Snyderverse, but stranger things have happened. We're asked to recall what Matt McGloin said when he was told that DeLuca's original plan for The Flash was to bring back the DCEU, bringing back Ben Affleck as Batman and bringing back Henry Cavill as Superman. And that would build toward a big Batman universe with Michael Keaton also back as Batman. Now, I find that kind of odd, or fishy, or both. That all went away when James Gunn launched the DCU. Of course it did. He was headed a completely different direction with a completely different vision and a completely different set of comics that everything would be based around. And unfortunately, he decided to team up with probably the worst CIA comic book guy we could ever have imagined. Gunn's creative style continues to clash with talent, meaning people aren't digging it so much, or at least working with him. So according to Matt McGloin's insider, they said Gunn isn't talent friendly and is stubborn about his vision. That appears to be exactly what is happening with Zack Cregger, who was supposed to pitch Gunn his DC film. Something clearly changed because Paramount traveled across the world to hear the pitch instead, and they haven't even closed the Warner Bros. Deal yet. Now, I will add very quickly that I, like many, still believe that no matter what, and despite the double dealing and poor business operations by Zavlov as far as dealing with Paramount in the acquisition of Warner Bros. Discovery, this is still the most likely outcome, not some kind of weird deal with Netflix, who doesn't want more than half of what Warner Bros. Has to offer, and not something strange that they would have to work out and get regulatory approval through with NBC Universal, which I think is one of the most unlikely outcomes, but we'll find out just a few weeks from now. Regardless, consolidation under Luca and Abdy is already beginning, which means everything's kind of already underway, including some of the acquisition pieces that, well, a lot of people speculated haven't begun to happen yet. Zack Cregger was brought in by Mike DeLuca for weapons at Warner Brothers, so this is a sign for things to come. A consolidation of DC studios overseen by the primary studio heads, DeLuca and Abdy. And I actually think this makes the most sense. And in a related story, which is right here, you can check it out over on Cosmic Book News, Netflix buying Warner Bros. Discovery would be the worst case scenario. I happen to agree. With the Warner Bros. Discovery sale, Gunn is out and a new DC is forming. And I have kind of an understanding of why this would happen. The efforts so far haven't begun to ring with audiences, and there's a whole lot of nepotism that they need to shed to do something different inside of Warner Brothers, specifically with Gunn. McGloin is told James Gunn is out. Zack Snyder is back with the Snyderverse, and eventually under Mike DeLuca, Pam Abdy, and a new DC universe will be reborn for the third time in the last, decade? If that hasn't started already, it sounds like it will. So to sum it up, Gunn is out once the Warner Bros. Discovery sale closes, which I imagine is somewhere around 6 weeks away, at least before the end of the year, because I think everybody wants this up and going in 2026. Paramount is buying Warner Bros. Discovery and already acting like the new owner, which it makes sense because they just got billions of dollars in investment coming out of the Saudis to make sure this happens. Paramount plans to keep Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy in charge, which makes a lot of sense. I would also consider that they might keep Zaslav in a position of power as well. The fewer moving parts, probably the better. DeLuca and Abdy are the ones who originally brought Zack Cregger in to begin with. And Paramount traveled across the globe to hear Cregger's DC movie pitch, not Gunn, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. DeLuca previously planned to restore the Snyderverse before Gunn shut that down, and the Snyderverse returns with the Warner Bros. Discovery sale. DeLuca and Abdy will lead the new DC going forward, and I have a feeling that if this plays out the way Matt describes, things will be substantially different at Warner Bros. Discovery across the board, not just with DC. So that actually just seems to leave us here, with DC being shaken, not stirred, and fundamental changes already in the works before we even have a close date on what will be the acquisition of Warner Bros. Discovery. It also sounds like there are some pre-planned changes that will shift everything when it comes to the DC universe and how Warner Bros. Operates as a studio. And finally, I have a list of questions, mostly about how they're going to work out getting rid of a lot of characters that they've already cast for future films, and how many signed deals they're going to have to navigate in order not to make a lot of planned television and film in the near future. Those are all the questions I have. You probably have some of your own. So let me know your thoughts on what's going on at DC, whether or not this seems plausible, and if you truly believe that Gunn has already lost control. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And is that what you prefer? Is the Snyderverse the future? Is it the past? Or is it a mix of both? As always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya. Just probably not at a DC movie in the future.